This week, I think, was a reasonably significant week. Certainly will go down in history as a significant week with the speech by Kevin Rudd on the Wednesday and the whole area of saying sorry and all the build-up to that, the event itself. And last week, I think it was in this service, we had Kerry Ann Winmar here, who's part of this church and a reasonably prominent Noongar member. And she came and shared a bit, and we prayed. And if you're watching the broadcast, you could just see how there was a lot of people deeply touched by what went on. I was aware when she spoke, we prayed, that the applause afterwards here was good applause, but it was kind of, I think some people were hesitant and there was a scattered kind of approach, and made me realise that within a church like this, we have a diversity of opinion on that particular very important subject. And one thing we love as a church is diversity of opinion. We're not the church that tells you have to do this, you have to believe this. So we have a range, and I would imagine on that particular subject, we'd have a range of different opinion from our own backgrounds and walks of life and how we see things. And so quite a few people have asked us, what's your read on that whole sorry thing? What's your position? We don't have a church position, but I've got my opinions on it. And so I'm just going to quickly share you where I'm coming from, which may help you to give a sense of understanding why as a church that we've been supportive of that whole idea. The people I've noticed who've been kind of a bit anti come from a range of different reasons why. I think there's a fear for the future. What will this mean? What domino? If we push this domino over, well, what's the next one? What's the next one? You know, it's okay about that, but that might lead to this and that might lead to that. Thus an uncertainty about the future and a fear of the future. And I think, well, that may be true, but I think there already is a fear of the future if we don't do that. Like, you don't get out of fear of the future by doing this and not doing it. There's also a fear and what could happen in our nation. Our nation needs a fresh breeze, if you like, blowing upon it. Others have sort of said, well, it's tokenism. It's really not what someone gets up and says, it's what we're actually doing as a nation and that sort of thing. Reconciliation's far deeper than a speech. I agree. Other people have thought, well, it's all too simple. It's not, it's not these people did all wrong and these people did all right. It's far more complicated than that. And there are cases of people doing the wrong thing for right reasons and the right thing for wrong reasons, and it's all so complicated. No one can get up and say, this is what it was. Our history is too fluid, and therefore even the attempt to do that is in itself wrong. And I can understand why people would think that way. Probably the biggest argument against this whole thing from Christian people has often been this, that I've heard, is like, I believe in saying sorry for things I've done, but if I've not done anything, why should I say sorry? And this generation, I know the history of this is reasonably recent, but for most people, they're saying, well, I've not done anything wrong. I'm building reconciliation in my life. I'm not racist or anything like that. And certainly in our history, people have done wrong things, but it's not my role to say sorry for stuff I haven't done. And it's that particular angle that I just wanted to confront a little bit and say, biblically speaking, the Bible has a rich heritage of people actually standing in the gap for other people and saying sorry, not for things they've done, but almost assumed a corporate guilt, if you like, and then confessed because of that. Probably the greatest story on that line, and there are several of these, is in the book of Daniel, where Daniel, the prophet, realized that his nation was held under captivity because of how they had treated the law of God, and he realized this, and so he prayed. And his prayer, you can read it, I think it's Daniel chapter 9. He said, we have done wickedly, we have committed iniquity, forgive us, God. And you think, well, Daniel's done nothing wrong. He's been good, but he's actually on behalf of his people saying, we have done iniquity. And he took it upon himself to stand in the gap, and the Bible says God heard his prayer and delivered Israel out of captivity because of their heart at that time, which was personified in Daniel. And aren't you glad that the New Testament carries this truth forward that affects all of us? Because Jesus himself did no wrong, and yet he died for our wrongs. The whole story of theology, the story of the cross, is here is a one who is perfect, yet laid his life down as if he was guilty so that we might gain the benefit of his righteousness. And so the argument that you don't say sorry for something you haven't done doesn't hold water scripturally. And I reckon if we stand on other people's shoulders and we can see things they couldn't have, then let's be the big people and let's say sorry and let's do what we possibly can to bring reconciliation. And I know any one thing doesn't do it all, that it's far more complicated, and this country's got a lot, many hundreds of years of history in front of it. Doesn't make sense, does it? A future. But I kind of sensed after what happened this week that a fresh breeze is indeed blowing in our land, and we can't see everything that's in our future, but I like the smell of the new wind, the new breeze, and I just believe that good things are going to happen, and that this is a good thing we've done. So those are my thoughts, and as Forrest Gump said, that's all I have to say about that.